what is an NFT and what does it have to do with crypto? NFT stands for non-fungible token. It's basically just a little snippet of code that's written onto the blockchain, which is, as you know, the same technology that underpins crypto. It establishes a unique ID and proves that someone actually owns an asset. NFTs turn digital files into unique ownable assets and can be used for things like collecting art, trading gaming items, or even unlocking event perks. When NFTs first came around, people kind of got confused and thought they were one and the same as crypto. While they are both powered by blockchain technology, they have different functions. Sometimes they go hand in hand, and sometimes they don't. All right, everyone. Today's episode is all about you. We are answering your listener questions, the ones you've sent in about what crypto actually is and how it works and how to get started without feeling completely overwhelmed. We're going to tackle everything from what gives crypto its value to is it really safe or how can I actually use it in my everyday life? And trust me, if you've been curious but still a little confused, this episode is going to clear up a lot. Plus, later on in the show, we're going to share a brand new crypto in the wild story about a content creator who found a smarter way to pay his team with crypto. It's a great example of how digital currency is showing up in everyday life, not just about investing or trading. But before we get into those questions, let's start with a few quick crypto fast facts, because understanding where we are right now is going to help us make sense of where things are heading. Here's what the data really shows. Number one, a lot of people are using crypto, but even more people are interested in it. While we've heard that 55 million Americans say that they're already owning and holding crypto, an additional 61 million more people told us that they're interested in it. That is a massive wave of potential crypto newcomers coming on chain. Number two, lifestyle expenses are a top motivator. So what does that actually mean? Among non-crypto holders, almost a quarter told us that they'd want to use crypto to pay for goods and services like booking trips or buying groceries. That's not just about investing. That's about putting digital assets to work for real-world experiences and everyday essentials. And by the way, you actually already can use crypto to pay for goods and services at hundreds of retailers, from big box chains to small mom and pop shops. And number three, education unlocks adoption. We know this to be true not just with crypto, but really when it comes to anything. Nearly half of people who don't currently hold crypto, about 49%, say that the main reason is they just don't get it yet. But what that means is that once the basics are explained, like we're going to do in today's episode, millions more Americans might be ready to give crypto a try. All right, so let's dig into our listener Q&A, where I'm going to answer your burning questions on all things crypto. So let's dive in and give you even more crypto clarity. Listener question number one, what actually gives crypto its value? If it's not backed by the government, why does anyone trust it? That is a great question. We have heard this a ton, and Stu and I have actually talked a little bit about it in a previous episode. So if you missed that one, great time to go back and check it out. But I'll answer it again now here, which is that crypto's value comes from how much people value it. It's ultimately how much people are willing to pay for it. It's that simple, just like pretty much any other asset. Just like gold has its value because its supply is limited, people see value in holding it. But why is gold worth $3,500 an ounce one day and $3,800 an ounce the next day? That's just the market at work. What someone is willing to sell it for and what someone else is willing to pay it for. Supply and demand. It's the same with crypto. People see value in it for a variety of reasons, depending on the token, because as we know, crypto is not one size fits all, and there are tons of different tokens out there. Maybe it's got limited supply, maybe it's about utility, maybe it's just about the sentiment of the market and how people are thinking and feeling about it on a given day. But what its worth really comes down to is what someone is willing to sell their crypto coins for and what someone else is willing to pay for those coins. So no one should be waiting for someone to flip the switch of the price of a particular token. The market is what dictates the price, the buyers and sellers interacting. Listener question number two, are Bitcoin and crypto the same thing? And do I have to buy an entire coin if I want to invest? Let's unpack this in two parts. First, Bitcoin is the first and most popular cryptocurrency, but it is only one type of crypto. There are plenty of other tokens out there. XRP is the second oldest crypto, but there are others that are fairly well known and traded, like Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, just to name a few of the top ones. And to answer the other part of this question, with crypto, you can just buy a fraction of a coin instead of buying the whole thing. Listener question number three. I'm curious, if I wanted to buy a coffee or pay my friend back for dinner, why would I use crypto instead of dollars? Seems like dollars would just be easier. That is another great question and totally fair point. I see what this person is getting at. And so let me explain this one a little bit. We know that cash payments are declining while digital payments are on the rise. We also know that third party banking apps and money transfer apps like Venmo or even Zelle often can take time and come with additional fees. It may feel instantaneous in the moment when you're clicking the buttons, but what's actually happening behind the scenes is that banks are just passing IOUs around. With crypto, the value is actually being transferred in pretty much real time, 24/7, without any extra costs or middlemen. Listener question number 4. Why are crypto prices so up and down? It feels like every other week there's a new crash or spike. Is that just how it works? This is a tricky one. Unfortunately, there is volatility like this with price swings in every single market. And that can be caused by a lot of things, like we talked about changes in supply and demand, increased market competition, or sort of perception, like how something's being talked about in the news or on social media. So, minimizing risk and navigating volatility really comes down to educating people so that they can make the most informed decisions about if and how to use crypto in their lives, which is exactly what we're going to be doing on this Crypto Explained podcast every single week. Listener question number 5. I keep hearing about crypto from friends and in the news, and honestly, I'm curious, but I have no idea where to start. Do I need to download a special app, or is there a beginner friendly way to dip my toe in without feeling overwhelmed? I love this question. We know so many people are crypto curious, and we want to help people figure out what is that first step to take. So you're not alone in not knowing where to start. And as you know, we've surveyed non crypto holders just like we surveyed crypto holders to really get to the truth about how people are or are not using this technology. And what we found from non holders is that more than half say that they're overwhelmed by all of the crypto research and resources out there. So if you're curious, but you haven't tried crypto yet, like Stu said in an earlier episode, start small. Set up a digital wallet on an exchange like Coinbase, Uphold, or Robinhood. Maybe send a tiny amount to a family member or friend who already has a crypto account, or check out a beginner-friendly NFT marketplace. And for more detailed step-by-step instructions, we'll guide you through the whole process. Check out nca.org for some quick videos and explainer blog posts about exactly how to set up your wallet and use crypto. Listener question 6. It seems like making millions off of crypto is in the past, and investing in it now seems pointless. So if I can't make millions from it, why should I use it? I think this goes back to people thinking that crypto is really just an investment vehicle when truly the technology is powerful and capable of doing so many more things. I'm not here to give investing advice, and I will never try to. I'm not a finance expert. But generally, you should not think about crypto as a path to riches. When it comes to investing, I think a kind of general rule of thumb is only invest what you can afford to lose. But you're not alone in thinking this. About half of non-holders in the US worry that they've missed the boat on crypto. But as we like to say, there are many boats, and it's never too late to get started. At its core, crypto is really just a technology. And while it's still relatively early days, we're already seeing lots of the benefits from using it far beyond just investing. In fact, actually, 3/4 of crypto holders told us that the technology is making a really positive impact on their lives. It's giving them learning and personal growth opportunities, fun and excitement, and a sense of achievement, far beyond just investing gains. When it comes to holding or moving value, crypto is faster, more secure, and doesn't rely on middlemen. It gives you more ownership and control of your digital assets. Think of it as the equivalent of sending an email versus trying to send a letter through the paper mail. It's digital, it's direct, and pretty much instant. Listener question number 7. People keep talking about using crypto to buy things daily. I thought crypto was just about investing. What's the point of investing in it just to spend it? Well, we can see a theme here with some of the confusion around crypto just being for investing. So yes, it's true that many are using crypto as an investment alternative. It's a great way to diversify your assets. Some people are also saving up with crypto and aiming for long-term value or seeing it as a steady passive income, while others are turning to crypto in hopes of monetary gains. But like we talked about, crypto does so much more than just investing, and you can actually spend it just like money. In fact, 39% of crypto holders in America told us that they're already shopping and paying for goods and services with it. Restaurants, retailers, movie theaters, concert venues, travel sites, and so many more are accepting crypto at checkout, with some of them actually offering special perks and rewards to customers who pay with digital assets. I actually just read recently that Sheetz, which is a convenience store nationwide, is giving people 50% off discounts when they pay with crypto versus cash or card at their stores. There's so much more you can do with crypto. We're going to get into that lots more in future episodes. Listener question number 8. Is crypto safe or can I get hacked? Crypto in and of itself is safe, but just like with anything else online, you need to be careful. Just like when you're using your credit card, it's secure as long as you don't share your PIN with others and you make sure to use that on trusted websites. Similarly, with crypto, you need to protect your passwords, aka your private keys, and make sure you're sticking to reputable platforms to stay safe. And last but certainly not least, listener question number 9. What is an NFT and what does it have to do with crypto? NFT stands for non-fungible token. It's basically just a little snippet of code that's written onto the blockchain, which is, as you know, the same technology that underpins crypto. It establishes a unique ID and proves that someone actually owns an asset, and it's all on that permanent public record of every transfer. NFTs turn digital files into unique ownable assets and can be used for things like collecting art, trading gaming items, or even unlocking event perks and more. I think when NFTs first came around, people kind of got confused and thought they were one and the same as crypto. While they are both powered by blockchain technology, they have different functions. Sometimes they go hand in hand, and sometimes they don't. So definitely send us more of your burning questions so we can answer them in future episodes. But let's quickly get into some jargon talk. Now that we've wrapped up our listener questions for the day, you know we love to decode crypto jargon. So today I want to unpack the term DeFi. This term sounds intimidating, but it's actually pretty simple once you break it down. DeFi just stands for decentralized finance. So what does that mean? Right? Basically, DeFi is a way of offering financial tools like borrowing, trading, or lending, but without any traditional banks or middlemen. Instead of walking into a bank branch, filling out the paperwork, waiting for an appointment during business hours, all of this runs 24/7 on the blockchain. The traditional way of doing things is also known as TradFi. And while we're going to focus on DeFi today, DeFi most likely will never replace TradFi. It's going to complement it. And the two are going to be integrated more and more into our daily lives in ways we can't even possibly dream of today. Here's an easy way to picture it. Imagine a virtual soda machine. Normally, in the physical world, if you want a soda, you'd have to go into a store, stop at a vending machine, pick out your drink, talk to a cashier, put money in the slot, and hope that someone stocks it with what you want, and that the can doesn't get stuck on the way down the chute. But there's always someone in the middle who's in charge of approving and handling the transaction. With DeFi, it's like using a virtual machine that's programmed to a set of rules that everyone who uses the machine has already agreed to. Blockchain acts like that virtual machine. It automatically carries out the agreement without needing the human approval or waiting for office hours. It is open 24/7. If I want to send a friend some of my crypto at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning, I, in air quotes, instruct the blockchain to make this transaction, and that the technology confirms that I own the token and that I'm not trying to spend it more than once, and then voila, it's sent to my friend who receives it pretty much instantaneously. And I can do that on a Sunday morning because DeFi never closes. There's no Monday through Friday, no 9 to 5. You can borrow, lend, trade at midnight on a Sunday, and it's still going to work for you instantly. At its core, DeFi is really just finance without the middlemen. So you're fully in the driver's seat and able to access and trade and transfer your funds 24/7 whenever you want to. Like any technology, DeFi is going to come with risks, so always make sure you do your research and only trust verified sources. You're going to hear the word DeFi tossed around a lot in crypto conversations. It simply stands for decentralized finance, but here's what people actually mean when they use that term. They might mean they're talking about everyday money tools without an intermediary. So when someone says they're using DeFi, that usually means they're borrowing, lending, or trading through apps that run on blockchain, not going through a bank. Another way that people use DeFi is to talk about earning more on your money or putting their money to work. For example, instead of keeping dollars in a savings account at a bank, you can put your money to work with crypto in a DeFi app and actually earn interest or other types of rewards, which we'll get into on a later episode. So when someone says, I'm in DeFi, it can also mean that they're using these tools to try to grow their money. Another really common way to think about DeFi, and a way we've heard people talk about it, is when it means it's a bigger idea about the future of money. Sometimes people talk about DeFi as a broader movement, a belief that money systems should be open 24/7, work anywhere in the world, and not depend on third parties like banks or middlemen. In that sense, DeFi is a vision of how finance could look in the future. But like I said at the beginning, DeFi will most likely coexist with TradFi, and in the future, our experience between the two is going to become even more seamless. Now let's get into our Crypto in the Wild, where we share real stories of how crypto is being used in everyday life. You've heard about crypto in the headlines, price swings, regulation, hype, but beyond all that, something real is happening. Everyday people like you and me are actually using crypto to make our lives easier, faster, and more connected. So let's meet Hunter, a content creator in LA, and for him, speed is everything. The faster he can get his content out, the more relevant it will be to his audience. At one point, Hunter was paying lots of video editors all around the world every single month, putting out close to 90 videos. 90. But here's the thing. Paying that many people through traditional platforms was a nightmare. Transfers took days, fees added up, and it completely slowed down his workflow. He told me that at his peak, he was paying 6 or 7 editors a month, but with crypto, he was able to pay them instantly, something that traditional platforms just couldn't match, especially considering that so many of his video editors lived in other countries where foreign transaction fees was another consideration. So actually paying through crypto meant that the people who were working on his team got paid what they actually wanted to get paid and what they deserved without anyone else taking a cut. And that's when it clicked for Hunter. Crypto wasn't just an investment. It was a tool. He could move money instantly. He didn't have to wait for banks to open, no random holds on his money, and again, no middlemen taking a cut. So for creators like Hunter, that kind of flexibility really matters. It means faster payments, fewer fees, and being able to work with talented people all over the world, even in places where banking access might be limited. So when people say crypto isn't useful in the real world, Hunter's story proves otherwise. It's not about speculation. It's about freedom. Freedom to create, to move, and to get paid what you're worth on your own terms. And that's today's Crypto in the Wild. And that's it for today's episode of Crypto Explained. If you've learned something new today, or if one of your questions finally got answered, it would mean a lot if you hit that follow button wherever you're listening to this podcast. And if you're enjoying the show, please do take a quick second to leave a rating or review. It really helps more people discover the podcast and join in this growing community of curious learners who all just want to understand crypto the smart way without any of the hype or jargon. You can also visit nca.org for more beginner-friendly explainers like this, as well as quick how-to videos and simple guides that are going to help you feel more confident in using crypto in your everyday life. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, keep learning, keep asking questions, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Crypto Explained.